Welcome to the Chosen One. Chosen One. What if I told you that stranger you helped last Tuesday, that person you gave your last $5 to outside the bodega, that soul you smiled at when the whole world treated them invisible? What if I told you they were worth $9 billion? And heaven was taking notes. See, while you were beating yourself up, wondering why your kindness never gets returned, while you were questioning if being good even matters in this cold, backstabbing world, while you were scrolling through your phone at 2 a.m. asking God, when is it my turn? The Almighty was orchestrating the most supernatural setup of your entire life. Picture this. You're rushing to catch the subway, rain's coming down like judgment, and there's this person, hoodie pulled up, head down, looking like they lost everything. Could be homeless, could be hopeless, could be nobody. But you stopped. You held that door. You offered that umbrella. You spoke life when everyone else walked past like they were already dead. Chosen One, unseen angels were watching that moment, recording it, filing it, because what looked like an ordinary Tuesday to you, that was your divine examination, and you passed. Before this hour is over, you'll see why one forgotten act of kindness might have just changed your entire destiny. Why that billionaire, yes, billionaire, couldn't sleep last night thinking about you. Why doors are about to swing open that stayed locked for generations. Before we go deeper, thank you to every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your support, your time, your attention. It all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead. If this is stirring something in your spirit right now, if your heart is racing because you know this is your confirmation, hit that like button, type, I receive it in the comments. Do it now, because the enemy will try to make you scroll past your breakthrough. He'll whisper this isn't for you or you're just being emotional. But Chosen One, your kindness just moved heaven, and when heaven moves, everything else has to get out the way. Stay with me. Your vindication is loading. Why do you think God wrapped his greatest test in rags? Why does the Almighty disguise billion-dollar blessings as broken-down strangers? And why? Why does heaven always hide its biggest rewards behind the smallest acts of love? Listen to me, Chosen One. You've been walking past gates disguised as strangers your entire life. You've been holding keys hidden in plain sight, and you didn't even know it. Because this world has trained you to measure worth by what you can see, the Rolex, the Tesla, the designer clothes. But heaven operates on a completely different frequency. You know what's breaking my heart tonight? It's watching beautiful souls like you question whether kindness even matters anymore. You're scrolling through social media, seeing the selfish get promoted, watching the cruel get celebrated, and you're asking yourself, God, what's the point? Why should I keep giving when nobody gives back? But what if I told you that every single time you chose kindness over cruelty, love over indifference, you were actually taking a divine exam? What if your greatest moments of doubt were actually your greatest moments of spiritual advancement? Let me take you back 4,000 years. There's an old man named Abraham sitting outside his tent in the scorching desert heat. 3 strangers appear on the horizon, dusty, tired, looking like nobody special. Common sense says, ignore them. Self-preservation says, protect what's yours. But Abraham, he runs toward them. He bows. He offers water, food, shelter. Those strangers, they were angels. And because Abraham chose hospitality over suspicion, kindness over fear, those same angels promised him a miracle child that changed the course of human history. Abraham thought he was just being neighborly. Heaven knew he was being tested. Your kindness last Tuesday wasn't random charity, chosen one. It was your Abrahamic moment. Think about Joseph, rotting in an Egyptian prison for a crime he didn't commit, forgotten, abandoned, innocent. But when he meets the baker and the cupbearer, two more forgotten prisoners, he doesn't turn bitter. He interprets their dreams. He shows compassion when the world showed him none. That simple act of kindness in a prison cell, it reached Pharaoh's palace. It opened doors that had been locked for generations. Joseph went from prisoner to prime minister because he chose to help when helping made no logical sense. You see, heaven has always hidden its greatest promotions behind its smallest tests. The gate disguised as a stranger, the key wrapped in kindness, the billionaire cloaked in simplicity. What if that person you helped, that soul everyone else ignored? What if they were heaven's billionaire gatekeeper? What if the creator of the universe was watching through their eyes, testing your heart when you thought nobody was looking? Because here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand. God doesn't test you with obvious choices. He doesn't send angels with halos and wings to see if you'll be kind. No, he wraps his tests in hoodies. He disguises his examinations as everyday encounters. He hides billion-dollar blessings behind broken-down appearances. You helped someone who looked homeless, but what if they own half of Manhattan? You shared your lunch with someone who seemed hungry, but what if they control investment funds worth more than entire countries? You smiled at someone everyone else ignored, but what if they've been praying for years to find one genuine soul in a world full of fake faces? This is how heaven operates. Chosen one. Tests wrapped in ordinary moments. Divine setups disguised as daily life. Supernatural promotions hidden behind natural kindness. And I know what you're thinking, but I've been kind for years, and where has it gotten me? I'm still struggling. I'm still waiting. I'm still wondering if God even sees me. Let me tell you something that's going to shake your spirit. Your kindness has been building compound interest in heaven's bank. Every door you held, every smile you gave, every dollar you shared when you barely had enough for yourself, it's all been recorded, filed, multiplied. And now it's time for the withdrawal. That billionaire you helped, they've been haunted by your kindness. They can't sleep, they can't focus. Because in a world where everyone wants something from them, you gave without agenda. In a society where people fake friendship for financial gain, you showed genuine love with no strings attached. Your purity disrupted their reality. Your authenticity shattered their cynicism. Your kindness reminded them that good people still exist in this corrupted world. But here's where it gets supernatural. They don't just want to repay you, they want to position you. They don't just want to bless you, they want to elevate you. Because when someone with billions recognizes authentic goodness, they don't just write a check, they open doors that stay locked for lifetimes. The same God who promoted Joseph from prison to palace, who blessed Abraham for hosting strangers, who elevated David from shepherd to king, that same God is about to shock your world with a blessing so specific, so perfectly timed, so undeniably divine, that everyone who doubted your kindness will have to bow to the power of your faithfulness. What if the person you thought was nobody was heaven's billionaire gatekeeper? What if your kindness just unlocked the vault of your destiny? Because, chosen one, what happened in that moment wasn't just charity, it was prophecy in motion. And that prophecy is about to become your reality in ways that will leave the whole world speechless. Now listen close, chosen one, because what I'm about to tell you will shatter everything you thought you knew about that moment. You didn't just help some random person having a bad day. You didn't just offer kindness to someone down on their luck. You saved a soul that was 36 hours away from giving up on humanity completely. See, here's what they don't tell you about having $9 billion. Money can buy you a penthouse overlooking Central Park, But it can't buy you one genuine conversation at dinner. It can get you a Bentley with bulletproof glass, but those same windows become prison bars when you realize nobody sees the real you anymore. Picture this billionaire's reality. Every morning they wake up in a mansion that echoes with emptiness. 43 rooms, but not one person who loves them for who they are beneath the bank account. They sit at a dining table that seats 12, eating alone while their phone buzzes with calls from people who only see dollar signs when they look at them. You think having money solves everything? This person told me they hadn't had a real hug in 7 years. 7 years, chosen one. Because when you're worth billions, every embrace feels like a transaction. Every smile feels purchased. Every I love you comes with an invisible price tag. The night before you met them, they sat in their Rolls-Royce in the parking garage of their own building, tears streaming down their face, asking God the same question you've asked. Does anybody in this world actually care about me as a person? They had a wallet full of gold, but a soul bankrupt of hope. But here's where it gets deep. The Bible tells us in Ecclesiastes 4:12, "A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken." That third strand? That's divine love working through human hands. And when you showed them kindness with no agenda, no knowledge of their wealth, no expectation of return, you became that third strand they'd been praying for. You know what really broke them? It wasn't your money you offered. It wasn't even your help. It was the fact that you looked them in the eyes like they mattered. When's the last time someone did that to you? When's the last time someone saw past your struggles, your mistakes, your broken pieces, and still treated you like royalty? I'm talking to someone right now who knows exactly what I mean. You've given your heart, your time, your last dollar to people who treated you like you were invisible afterward. You've held doors, bought meals, offered rides, shared your umbrella in the rain, and never heard thank you. You've loved people who forgot your name the moment they got what they needed. Maybe it was your own family. Maybe you sacrificed everything to help a relative who now acts like you don't exist. Maybe you gave years of your life caring for someone who never acknowledged your worth. Maybe you poured everything into a friendship, a relationship, a job, and they discarded you like yesterday's newspaper, and the enemy whispered in your ear, "See, being good gets you nowhere. Kindness is weakness. Love is foolishness." But chosen one, let me tell you something that's going to change how you see every act of kindness you've ever performed. When the rich young ruler walked away from Jesus in Matthew 19, he was sad because he had great possessions. But this billionaire? They were about to walk away from life itself because possessions were all they had. Your kindness didn't just brighten their day, it literally saved their life. They told me they'd been planning their exit strategy, not from business, from existence. They'd lost faith in human goodness. They'd been betrayed by business partners, abandoned by family members who only called when they needed money, and surrounded by people who smiled while calculating how to use them. But then you happened. You, with your worn-out shoes and your genuine heart. You, with your own struggles and your own pain, still found it in yourself to care about a stranger. You proved to them that real love still exists in this cold world. In that moment, you didn't just offer help, you offered hope. You didn't just extend a hand, you extended heaven. Because Hebrews 13:2 reminds us, "Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." But here's the twist that's going to blow your mind. They weren't the angel in that story. You were. This billionaire had been praying for a sign that humanity wasn't completely lost. They'd been asking God to show them one person, just one, who still possessed authentic love. And God said, "I'll do you one better. I'll send you one of my chosen ones. Someone who's been through hell and still chooses heaven. Someone who's been betrayed and still chooses to believe. someone who's been hurt and still chooses to heal. If you've ever given and felt invisible, write, "That's me," in the chat. Watch how many others have been there. You're about to realize you're not alone in your generosity, and your generosity has never been alone in the universe. Because what happened next didn't just change their life, it triggered a supernatural chain reaction that's about to change yours. The moment they realized that real love still existed, they made a decision that set forces in motion you can't even imagine yet. But before I tell you what they decided to do, you need to understand something crucial about the way heaven operates. Listen to me, chosen one. What I'm about to reveal will shake the very foundation of how you see your past, your present, and your future. Because that moment when you showed kindness to a stranger, you didn't just change their day, you didn't just lift their spirit, you bent the entire river of destiny itself. See, here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand about the spiritual laws governing this universe. Galatians 6-9 tells us, "And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up." But most people read that scripture like it's talking about some distant, vague blessing coming someday. No, beloved. That verse is talking about a supernatural law as real and precise as gravity itself. When you plant kindness, the universe doesn't just give you kindness back. It gives you kindness amplified. It gives you kindness multiplied. It gives you kindness with interest that compounds like the greatest investment Wall Street has ever seen. But here's where it gets supernatural, chosen one. Your gesture didn't just impact that billionaire's timeline, it shifted your timeline. Right there, in that split second of compassion, you moved from one-dimensional reality into another. You stepped from the timeline where your kindness goes unnoticed into the timeline where heaven itself takes note. Think about this. In the Bible, one small act of kindness from a widow giving her last meal to Elijah resulted in her oil and flour never running out during a 3-year famine. One gesture. Supernatural provision. Ruth showing loyalty to Naomi led her straight into the lineage of King David and ultimately Jesus Christ. One decision to stay. Generational legacy. But let me bring this home to you right here in 2024. Remember the story of Chris Gardner, homeless, sleeping in subway bathrooms with his young son, struggling to survive in San Francisco. One businessman saw him helping another homeless person share a meal, even though Chris barely had anything himself. That businessman, he owned an investment firm. He gave Chris an unpaid internship that led to him becoming a millionaire stockbroker. One candle of kindness sparked a forest fire of blessing. Or what about Oprah Winfrey? She talks about how at her lowest point, broke and fired from her first television job, she helped an elderly woman carry groceries up 4 flights of stairs. That woman turned out to be connected to a media executive who ended up giving Oprah her breakthrough opportunity. One act of service. Billion-dollar empire. You see, chosen one, this isn't coincidence. This is divine mathematics. This is heaven's economy working exactly as designed. Every seed of kindness you've planted in the dark, every time you helped when no one was watching, every moment you chose love when the world chose hate, it's all been recorded in heaven's ledger. And the interest is about to be paid out. But here's what's going to blow your mind. That billionaire you helped? They've been trying to track you down. They've been asking questions. They've been thinking about that moment every single day since it happened. Because in a world where everyone wants something from them, where every conversation comes with an agenda, where every smile has a price tag attached, you gave them something they couldn't buy. You gave them humanity. You gave them hope. You reminded them that genuine goodness still exists in this world. And now they can't forget you. They can't shake the memory of your face. They can't stop thinking about the way you looked at them, not through their wealth, not through their status, but straight into their soul. You saw them as a human being when the whole world sees them as a dollar sign. Do you understand what that means? In their world of board meetings and billion-dollar deals, in their universe of contracts and calculations, you became the most valuable thing they've ever encountered. You became real. You became authentic. You became unforgettable. This is what happens when heaven decides to reward kindness. It doesn't just give you a blessing. It gives you a blessing so specific, so tailored, so supernatural that there's no way anyone can call it coincidence. It comes with your name written all over it in letters of gold. Right now, as I'm speaking these words, there are conversations happening in boardrooms you've never seen. There are phone calls being made about opportunities with your name on them. There are doors being unlocked that have been sealed for generations. Because you didn't just help them, chosen one. You shifted your own timeline. You moved from the reality where good people finish last into the reality where good people finish first. You stepped from the dimension where kindness gets taken advantage of into the dimension where kindness gets rewarded by the Almighty Himself. But here's what I need you to understand. This blessing that's coming your way, it's not going to look like what you expect. It's not going to come wrapped in pretty paper with a bow on top. It's going to come disguised as opportunity. It's going to come clothed as connection. It's going to come masked as what some people will call luck, but you and I will know is supernatural favor. The phone call that's coming, the door that's about to open, the opportunity that's about to present itself, it won't mention that moment of kindness. It won't reference that rainy Tuesday, but you'll know, deep in your spirit, you'll recognize the fingerprints of heaven all over it. And when that moment comes, when that blessing manifests, when that door swings wide open, I want you to remember this message. I want you to remember that your kindness moved heaven itself, that your compassion caught the attention of the Almighty, that your love in action triggered a divine response that's about to change everything. Because this billionaire, they're not just going to repay your kindness, they're going to become the instrument heaven uses to position you exactly where you're supposed to be. They're going to become the bridge between where you are and where God is calling you to go. Your timeline just shifted, chosen one. Your reality just upgraded. Your destiny just accelerated. But the question remains, are you ready for what's coming next? You know what happened in that moment when you helped that stranger? You did something that shook the billionaire's world to its core. You showed up without a price tag. Let me paint you a picture of their reality. Every single morning, they wake up in a penthouse worth more than most people see in 10 lifetimes. But here's what money can't buy: genuine human connection. Every handshake comes with an agenda. Every smile hides a calculator. Every friend is measuring what they can extract. Their accountant wants a bonus. Their lawyer bills by the minute of conversation. Their own family members show up with business proposals disguised as birthday dinners. Even their pastor, calls about building funds more than salvation. They live in a world where love has a price, loyalty expires with contracts, and kindness always comes with terms and conditions attached. But then you walked into their life. No business card, no angle, no hidden agenda. Just pure, unfiltered humanity flowing from a heart that this cold world hasn't been able to freeze. When was the last time you helped someone with absolutely zero expectation of return? Think about it, really think, because that's the currency heaven deals in, and it's the rarest commodity on earth. Most people today operate like spiritual prostitutes. They only show love when there's something in it for them. They smile when cameras are rolling. They help when social media is watching. They give when tax deductions are guaranteed. But you're different. The Bible says in Matthew 6:3, "When you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. You didn't post it on Instagram. You didn't expect a thank you. You didn't even stick around for recognition. And that billionaire, they've never experienced anything like it. See, when you've got $9 billion, you learn real quick that everybody wants something. The waitress is extra nice, hoping for a massive tip. The charity worker is building toward that major donation ask. Even strangers on the street suddenly become your best friend when they see that black Amex card. But you didn't know who they were. You saw a human being in need and responded from your soul. No calculator, no strategy. Just love in motion. That's what terrified them. That's what kept them awake that night. Because in a world where everything is transactional, your purity felt supernatural. Here's the harsh truth about the elite class that most people don't understand. They're surrounded by what I call golden handcuffs relationships. People who love their wallet more than their well-being, who care more about their connections than their character. They sit in boardrooms where every compliment is calculated. They attend parties where every conversation is really a negotiation. They go to bed every night wondering if anyone on this planet would care about them if they lost it all tomorrow. Then you showed up and answered that question with your actions. You treated them like they mattered when you thought they had nothing. You gave respect when you expected no reward. You offered dignity when you saw no dollar signs. And for the first time in years, maybe decades, they felt what it's like to be loved for who they are instead of what they have. The world has taught us that kindness is weakness, that helping others is naive, that good people finish last. But heaven operates on a completely different economy. Proverbs 11:25 tells us, "A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." Not might be, will be. But here's what breaks my heart. I see so many beautiful souls who've been burned, betrayed and bruised by this transactional world. They gave their heart and got it handed back in pieces. They trusted and got trampled. They loved and got left. And now they're walking around with walls so high that even angels need a ladder to reach them. But chosen one, you refuse to let their coldness freeze your fire. You refuse to let their hardness harden your heart. In a world that's becoming more calculating by the day, you remained compassionate. That's not stupidity. That's strength. That's not weakness. That's warfare against a system designed to kill kindness. But I need to ask you something that might sting a little. When was the last time you operated from pure love? Not the kind that keeps score, not the kind that expects reciprocation, but the kind that gives because giving is who you are, not what you do. Because somewhere along the way, some of us started playing by their rules. We started loving with conditions, helping with expectations, giving with guarantees. And when we do that, we lose our superpower. We become just another transaction in a transactional world. But not you, at least not on that day. On that day, you were pure, undiluted, uncompromised. You were heaven's currency walking in human form. And that billionaire felt it immediately. They've been around enough fake people to recognize real when they see it. Your energy was so different from what they're used to that it literally stopped them in their tracks. See, money can buy a lot of things. It can buy compliance. It can buy comfort. It can buy fake smiles and forced loyalty. But it cannot buy the feeling of being genuinely seen, genuinely cared for, genuinely loved by someone who wants absolutely nothing in return. That's priceless. And you gave it freely. The religious folks love to quote, "It is more blessed to give than to receive," from Acts 20:35, but they've turned even that into a formula. Give to get blessed. Help to get helped, love to get loved. But you gave with no agenda, helped with no hustle, loved with no list. And now heaven is about to show this billionaire and the watching world what happens when pure kindness meets divine providence. Here's what I need you to understand. Your purity isn't just personal, it's prophetic. In a world drowning in fake everything, fake smiles, fake friends, fake followers, fake faith, your authenticity is a lighthouse in a storm. But the enemy wants to convince you that being pure makes you a pushover, that having a soft heart makes you a soft target, that your kindness is your weakness. That's a lie straight from the pit of hell. Your purity is your power. Your kindness is your currency. Your genuine heart is your greatest gift to a world that's forgotten how to love without conditions. If you refuse to let this cold world harden your heart, if you're determined to stay pure in a poisoned system, if you believe kindness is still the most powerful force on earth, then type "I'm still pure" in the comments below. Because what's about to happen next will prove that heaven never forgets those who love without limits. You know what haunts that billionaire more than losing $1 billion deal? It's the way you made them feel without saying a single word. Your frequency walked into that room before your body ever crossed the threshold, and they felt something they hadn't experienced in decades: purity. Listen to me, chosen one. There's something about your energy that breaks through walls that money can't even touch. You've felt it your whole life, haven't you? The way people stare at you in elevators, the way conversations stop when you enter a room, the way strangers either gravitate toward you or suddenly get uncomfortable for no reason they can explain. You thought it was in your head. You thought you were being paranoid. But Scripture tells us in 1 Corinthians 2:14, "The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, but considers them foolishness." They can't understand what they're feeling when they're near you, but they feel it nonetheless. That billionaire? They've been surrounded by people who smile with their mouth but plot with their heart, people who speak kindness but reek of agenda, people who say bless you but mean use you. For 40 years, they've been swimming in an ocean of fake energy, calculated conversations, and purchased loyalty. Then you walked in. No agenda, no knowledge of their wealth, no rehearsed pitch, just pure human kindness flowing from a soul that's been broken, rebuilt, and now carries the fragrance of heaven itself. You want to know why people have misjudged your calm as arrogance? Because they've never been around someone who doesn't need anything from them. Your peace threatens their chaos. Your contentment exposes their emptiness. Your genuine spirit makes their performance look like what it is, a desperate act. But here's what's breaking my heart, chosen one. You've been apologizing for this gift your entire life. How many times have you walked into a room and immediately felt the shift? How many times have people started acting different around you, either getting defensive or suddenly confessing things they never told anyone? How many times have you been accused of thinking you're better than everyone when all you were doing was existing in your authentic frequency? They called you stuck up because you wouldn't gossip. They said you were antisocial because you wouldn't participate in their toxic energy exchanges. They labeled you weird because you preferred solitude over their spiritual contamination. But what they couldn't articulate was this: you made them feel convicted without ever opening your mouth. This is why Jesus said in Matthew 5:14, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Light doesn't announce itself. It just is. And everything that lives in darkness either runs toward it for healing or flees from it in terror." That billionaire felt your light from 50 feet away. Before you spoke, before you smiled, before you even made eye contact. They felt the absence of manipulation in your aura. They sensed the presence of genuine love in your energy field. And for the first time in decades, they encountered someone who wasn't studying them for weakness, scanning them for opportunity, or calculating their net worth. You know what's priceless? What they couldn't buy, they felt in you. $9 billion couldn't purchase what you carry naturally. All their wealth couldn't manufacture the peace that radiates from your presence. Their private jets, their mansions, their designer, everything. None of it could create the authentic joy that flows from your spirit like a river. And this terrifies the enemy, because when chosen ones start recognizing their energetic authority, when they stop apologizing for their frequency, when they understand that their presence alone is a weapon against darkness, the game changes completely. Listen carefully. That moment of silence after you helped them, that wasn't rejection. That was recognition. They couldn't speak because they were processing something their spirit hadn't felt in years. Unconditional human kindness. They were experiencing what David wrote about in Psalm 23:5. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. You prepared a table of genuine care in the presence of their internal enemies, cynicism, mistrust, and spiritual bankruptcy. And their cup overflowed with something money can't buy, hope in humanity restored. But the devil wants you to interpret their silence as disinterest. He wants you to believe your energy doesn't matter. He wants you to shrink back, dim your light, and start operating like everyone else, calculating, manipulating, performing for approval. Don't you, Dare? Your energy before you speak is your signature in the spiritual realm. It's your calling card in the kingdom. It's the reason that billionaire is lying awake at 3 a.m., not thinking about their stock portfolio, but wondering how to find you again. Because what they experienced wasn't just kindness. It was a divine encounter disguised as a random moment. Here's what's about to happen. That silence you've been interpreting as nothing, it's everything. That quiet moment when they looked at you longer than socially appropriate, that was heaven downloading assignment into their spirit. That pause before they said thank you, that was eternity intersecting with time. Chosen one, your energy is about to become your economy. Your frequency is about to become your fortune, because when heaven wants to bless someone, it doesn't send a telegram, it sends a person. And sometimes, that person is disguised as a billionaire who desperately needs to remember what authentic love feels like. The mirror effect is real. What they see in you is what they're missing in themselves. And what they're missing, they're about to pay any price to experience again. But here's the question that's going to determine everything. When that door swings open, when that opportunity presents itself, when that supernatural connection reveals itself, will you be ready to step into the fullness of what your energy has been preparing? Or will you shrink back because you still don't believe your presence alone is worth $9 billion of gratitude? Chosen one, let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. While everyone else was looking at the surface, while the crowd was judging by appearances, while society was teaching you that only the loudest voices matter, there were eyes watching you from the shadows, silent, calculating, measuring your heart when you thought nobody cared. You think that billionaire just happened to be in that coffee shop. You think they just randomly ended up on your subway car. You think it was coincidence that they needed help right when you were walking by. Child of God, wake up. This was orchestrated. This was planned. This was heaven's most sophisticated character test, and you didn't even know you were taking it. See, the powerful don't announce themselves. Real kings don't wear crowns to the grocery store. True wealth whispers while poverty screams. And that person you helped, they've been watching people for decades, testing hearts, measuring souls, looking for something money can't buy and power can't corrupt. They've been burned by fake friends who only showed up when the check cleared. They've been used by family members who saw dollar signs instead of a human being. They've been manipulated by so-called spiritual people who quoted scripture while picking their pockets clean. But you didn't know who they were. You couldn't Google their net worth. You had no agenda, no angle, no hidden motive. You just saw a soul in need and responded with pure love. Let me take you back 3,000 years. There's a shepherd boy named David, out in the pastures, tending his father's sheep. Nobody's watching him except God. No cameras, no crowds, no chance for recognition. When a lion comes for the flock, David doesn't run. When a bear threatens the innocent, David stands his ground. The religious leaders in Jerusalem didn't know his name. The political elite had never heard of him. His own brothers thought he was just a kid playing with sheep. But God was watching every act of courage in the wilderness, every moment of faithfulness when no human eye could see. And when it came time to choose a king, God didn't look at the tall one, the handsome one, or the popular one. He looked at the heart that had been tested in secret. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Chosen one, your kindness in the shadows was your audition for the palace. That billionaire has been testing people for years. They've thrown money at problems and watched people scramble. They've offered opportunities and seen pure hearts turn greedy overnight. They've been disappointed by pastors who preached humility but demanded private jets. They've been heartbroken by charity workers who stole from the very people they claimed to serve. But when they saw you help with no expectation of return, when they witnessed you give when you barely had enough for yourself, when they felt your genuine spirit in a world full of performance, something shifted in their soul. They went home that night and couldn't stop thinking about you. They told their spouse, "I met someone today who reminded me why I started giving in the first place." They lay in their billion-dollar bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if there were still people like you left in this world. You see, the ultra-wealthy live in a bubble where everyone wants something. Every conversation has an agenda. Every friendship has a price tag. Every smile is calculated for maximum return. They become cynical not because they're evil, but because they've been wounded by the greed of others. But your pure heart cracked that cynicism wide open. Right now, as you're listening to this message, there are gatekeepers in your city. Business owners, investors, ministry leaders, government officials, people with the power to change your life with one phone call. And they're not sitting in boardrooms making these decisions. They're walking among us in hoodies and baseball caps, testing hearts, measuring character, looking for someone they can trust with real influence. The Bible says, "Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." But it doesn't just say angels. Sometimes those strangers are earthly gatekeepers positioned by heaven to find the worthy. Abraham served 3 mysterious visitors, not knowing they carried the promise of his miracle child. Ruth showed kindness to Naomi with no knowledge that it would position her in the lineage of Christ. Joseph served faithfully in prison, having no idea that Pharaoh's butler would remember his character at just the right moment. Your small act of kindness wasn't small at all. It was cosmic. It was prophetic. It was heaven opening a door that's been locked for generations. But here's what's going to blow your mind. That billionaire? They're not the only one watching. Your act of pure love sent ripples through the spiritual realm. Other powerful people heard about it. Other gatekeepers took notice. Your name is being passed around in circles you've never imagined. While you've been struggling to pay rent, worrying about bills, wondering if anyone notices your good heart, boardroom conversations have included your character. Private meetings have discussed your integrity. Investment decisions have been influenced by your spirit. You think you're invisible, but you're being watched by heaven and positioned by those heaven trusts with resources. The question isn't whether God sees you. The question is, are you ready for what comes next? Are you prepared for doors to open that you never knocked on? Are you ready for opportunities that will require you to step into a version of yourself you've only dreamed about? Because when gatekeepers move, they don't move small. When billionaires decide to bless someone, they don't think in hundreds. They think in thousands, in millions. in life-changing proportions. When heaven validates your character through earthly witnesses, the blessing comes with compound interest on every tear you've cried and every prayer you've whispered. If you believe God has people watching you right now, if you feel in your spirit that your character is being tested in ways you can't see, if you know that your small acts of love are creating big waves in the invisible realm, type "Watched by Heaven" in the comments right now. Because, chosen one, the gatekeeper didn't just notice you, they're about to open the gate. And what's waiting on the other side will prove that every act of kindness, every moment of integrity, every choice to love when you could have been bitter, it was all building toward this moment. Your breakthrough isn't coming because you're lucky. It's coming because you've been approved by those who matter most. The test is over. You passed. Now comes the reward that will silence every voice that ever told you kindness was weakness. Chosen one, let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. That billionaire, they've been carrying you around in their spirit like a song they can't stop humming. Your presence left a holy fingerprint they can't wash off, no matter how many million-dollar experiences they've had since. You see, when divine encounters happen, they don't just fade into memory, they haunt, they follow. They knock on the door of consciousness at 3 a.m. when the penthouse gets too quiet and the gold loses its shine. Think about it. You remember that teacher who believed in you when everyone else wrote you off as a troublemaker. You remember that stranger who helped you when your car broke down in the rain 20 years ago. Their name? Gone. Their face? Blurry. But their impact? Still echoing in your bones. That's exactly what you did to them. Scripture says in Hebrews 13:2, "Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." But here's the flip side nobody talks about. When you are the angel in disguise, when your kindness becomes the divine interruption in someone's darkness, you become unforgettable. You think they just walked away from that moment and forgot. Oh, chosen one, you have no idea how wrong you are. Picture this. They're sitting in their corner office overlooking Manhattan, surrounded by people who only see dollar signs when they look at them. Every conversation is a transaction. Every smile has a price tag. Every friendship comes with an agenda. And then, out of nowhere, your face flashes in their mind. The person who helped without knowing who they were, the soul who gave without expecting anything back, the light that shone when they thought humanity had gone completely dark. You became their proof that goodness still exists. They've tried to shake it off, tried to rationalize it. It was just a random act of kindness, they tell themselves, but deep in their spirit, they know better. They know they encountered something supernatural wrapped in ordinary clothes. You want to know how I know this is real? Because it's happened to you too, hasn't it? Someone impacted your life so deeply that years later you still think about them. Maybe it was during your darkest season, when you lost that job, when the divorce papers were signed, when the doctor gave you news that stopped your world. And somebody showed up, somebody saw you, somebody reminded you that you mattered when you felt invisible to the whole world. You never forgot them, did you? That's exactly what you did for this billionaire. You became their divine interruption. But here's where it gets supernatural. And stay with me because this is about to blow your mind. When someone of power and influence gets touched by genuine love, something shifts in the spiritual realm. It's like a frequency gets activated, a signal gets sent. Heaven starts moving pieces on the chessboard. Look at how God used Esther's impact on King Ahasuerus to save an entire nation. One moment of favor, one divine connection, one person remembering kindness, and history changed forever. Your kindness didn't just touch their heart, it marked their destiny. They may have forgotten your name, Let's be honest, they meet hundreds of people, but they cannot forget your impact. It's written in their spirit with permanent ink. Every board meeting, every business decision, every time they have the power to change someone's life, your echo whispers in their conscience. Remember how it felt to be seen. Remember how it felt to be helped. Remember how it felt to encounter love without agenda. And here's what's driving them crazy. They can't repay you. They don't have your number. They don't know your last name. They can't wire money to your account or send flowers to your door. The most powerful person in the room has been rendered powerless to express their gratitude. But God knows exactly where you are. That frustration they're feeling, that's divine orchestration. That restlessness, that's heaven stirring up their spirit until they do something about it. That unexplainable urge to give, to help, to be generous. That's your kindness echoing back through the universe, multiplied by divine mathematics. You see, chosen one, divine encounters don't happen by accident. They happen by appointment. And when heaven sets up an appointment between a billionaire's need and your supply of genuine love, that appointment gets recorded in the books of eternity. Ecclesiastes 11:1 says, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for after many days you will find it again." Your bread has been floating in supernatural currents, and it's about to wash up on the shore of your breakthrough. That billionaire has been wrestling with something for months now, a burden, a calling, a divine pressure to do something significant. They've got the resources, but they needed the right reason. They've got the platform, but they needed the right purpose. You gave them that purpose. Your fingerprint is all over their next move. Your echo is directing their next decision. Your kindness is about to become their catalyst for kingdom impact. And guess what? You're not just going to be a memory anymore. You're about to become a priority. They may have forgotten your name, but they cannot forget your impact. And when powerful people can't forget you, they start looking for you. When influential people carry your echo in their spirit, they start making moves to honor that echo. The search has already begun, chosen one. The wheels are already turning. The connections are already being made. Because here's what happens when divine appointments collide with earthly resources. Breakthrough becomes inevitable. And your breakthrough? It's wearing a billionaire's signature and carrying heaven's seal of approval. But I need to ask you something that's going to determine whether you're ready for what's coming. When your name gets called, when that door swings open, when that opportunity shows up wearing supernatural clothes, will you recognize it as the echo of your own kindness coming back to find you? Chosen one, we've journeyed through the hidden chambers of heaven's plan, and now we arrive at the moment that will shake you to your core. That billionaire you saved. They didn't just remember your kindness. They've been carrying it like a sacred flame in their chest for months. And what's about to unfold will leave your enemies speechless and your doubters scrambling for explanations they'll never find. Listen to me carefully. This blessing that's thundering toward your life isn't just about money. Money is temporary. Money can be stolen, lost, squandered. But what heaven is orchestrating for you transcends every dollar bill, every bank account, every material possession you've ever dreamed of. You're about to receive position. You're about to receive influence. You're about to receive the kind of power that reshapes bloodlines and rewrites family legacies for the next 7 generations. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Your great-great-grandchildren will walk differently because of what's about to happen to you. They'll carry their heads higher. They'll speak with authority. They'll move through doors that were welded shut for centuries. Because one act of kindness, your act of kindness, just shifted the entire spiritual atmosphere over your family line. The Bible declares in Psalm 23:5, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." Do you feel that? That's not just a pretty verse for your wall. That's a prophetic declaration over your life right now. Heaven is setting up your victory banquet, and guess who's got front row seats to watch? Every single person who counted you out, every voice that said you'd never amount to anything, every family member who treated you like the black sheep, every co-worker who passed you over for promotion, every so-called friend who stabbed you in the back when you needed them most. They're all going to be there when your crown gets placed on your head, and it's going to burn them from the inside out. But here's what's going to destroy them completely. You're not going to gloat. You're not going to throw it in their faces. You're going to move with such grace, such dignity, such supernatural composure that it's going to drive them absolutely insane, because they're expecting you to act like them. They're expecting you to be petty, vindictive, small, but chosen ones don't operate from that frequency. Chosen ones understand that true power moves in silence and speaks through results. That billionaire is about to open doors for you that don't even exist yet. We're talking about boardroom tables where million-dollar decisions get made. We're talking about conversations that shift entire industries. We're talking about your voice being heard by people who control the flow of resources in this nation. Your opinion is about to matter in rooms where policies get written. Your wisdom is about to influence decisions that affect thousands, maybe millions of lives. And the beautiful irony, the same compassion that made you stop and help a stranger in a hoodie is the exact quality they need at those tables. While everyone else is scheming and manipulating and playing politics, you're going to walk in with pure intention. While they're calculating angles and protecting territories, you're going to speak truth that cuts through the noise like a sword through silk. But I need to ask you something that's going to challenge your very soul. Will you be ready to lead when that door swings open? Because leadership isn't just about having a title. Leadership isn't just about having money. Leadership is about having the courage to make decisions that benefit others, even when it costs you something. Leadership is about standing in the gap when everyone else is running for cover. Leadership is about speaking life into dead situations when everyone else is throwing dirt on the grave. Are you ready for that level of responsibility? Are you ready for that level of spiritual warfare? Because when heaven elevates you, hell gets an eviction notice. When you step into divine positioning, every demon that's been feeding off your family's struggles gets served court papers. When you rise to influence, every generational curse that's been choking your bloodline gets exposed to the light and starts screaming. Your enemies thought they were watching you struggle for the last time. They thought they were witnessing your final chapter of insignificance. But what they were actually watching was your preparation season. Every betrayal was building your discernment. Every rejection was strengthening your resilience. Every lonely night was developing your intimacy with the Father. You weren't being punished, you were being positioned. And now, as that billionaire's influence begins to shift atmospheres on your behalf, as doors begin to swing open that have been locked since before you were born, as opportunities begin to manifest that align perfectly with your deepest passions and gifts, your haters are going to have to watch it all unfold. They're going to have to see you rise. They're going to have to witness your vindication. They're going to have to swallow their pride and admit they were wrong about you. But here's the supernatural twist that's going to break their minds completely. You're going to use your new position to bless people. You're going to use your influence to elevate others. You're going to use your resources to create opportunities for those who remind you of where you came from, because that's what chosen ones do. We don't just escape. We build bridges for others to cross over to. Chosen one, as we close this sacred hour together, I need you to hold on to 3 eternal truths that will anchor your soul in the storms ahead. First, your kindness was never wasted. Every door you held, every smile you gave, every moment you chose love over indifference, heaven recorded it all. That billionaire's life you touched is just the beginning of a supernatural chain reaction that will echo through eternity. Second, your positioning is not coincidental. You weren't randomly selected for this blessing. You were strategically chosen, carefully prepared, and divinely positioned for such a time as this. The same God who opened the Red Sea is opening pathways for you that seemed impossible just yesterday. Third, this is bigger than you. Your elevation carries the prayers of your ancestors, the hopes of your descendants, and the dreams of everyone who's been counted out just like you were. You are not walking this journey alone. God is actively working behind the scenes of your life right now, orchestrating connections, preparing hearts, and positioning you for your next level. And this community, these thousands of souls watching with you, we're your spiritual family, ready to pray with you, celebrate with you, and hold you up when the weight feels too heavy. Before you leave, let me ask you this. What act of kindness will you perform this week, knowing that heaven is watching, knowing that your compassion might just change someone's entire trajectory? Now, bow your head with me wherever you are. Father God, I place my hands on every chosen one watching this message. You see their tears, their struggles, their moments of doubt. You know the doors that have been slammed, the dreams that were deferred, the kindness that went unnoticed. But Lord, we declare that their season of hiddenness is over. Open supernatural pathways, connect them with their billionaire moments. Give them the courage to lead when their doors swing wide. Protect their hearts as they rise. Keep them humble in elevation and generous in blessing. Let their lives become living testimonies that kindness still conquers, that love still wins, that you still move heaven and earth for those who trust you. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. If this message touched your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to remember their worth. Comment below and tell us one way you're going to show kindness this week. You are loved. You are chosen. You are not forgotten. Until next time, keep shining.